Welcome to the Jolly Roger. My name's Chef Brian, and today we have a guest. This is Chef Lance.
Hi.
We graduated school together, and now he's an instructor at our culinary school that we graduated from. So, he has come up here to show us how to do a specific recipe. And what recipe is that?
Well, today, Chef Brian, we're going to do duck liver pate. This is one of my favorite things to do on charcuterie boards, and this is the time of year, of course, in Arkansas. We have one of the largest duck flyways in North America.
Correct.
And so duck season has just begun, so December and January are duck eating season. And so when I do holiday and Christmas charcuterie boards for offices and get-togethers, I always do this, and I use as much duck as I possibly can on the board. So today, the liver pate is what we're doing.
Awesome. That sounds great.
All right, so
what else?
What?
What else are we doing?
Oh, yeah. So thanks for reminding me.
No problem.
I had old man syndrome for a second. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you, my elf says hello to your elf.
Oh, well, I'll make sure she returns the hi.
Gotcha. So first thing, okay, so what we're going to do is a duck pate. And then at the end we'll coat that or cover that with duck fat. We'll talk more about that then. But what we're going to serve with it is a crostini. So Brian in a minute is going to prepare a crostini. And then we're going to do a blackberry compote, and I'll talk more about that as we get cooking. But first, what I want to do is I want to season the livers and let those set on the side while I do that. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I'm seasoning these now. One is they're going to get seasoned. That's one thing. But it'll help pull out some of the moisture out of the liver, because what we want, we're never going to get a liver completely dry. But what we like is when we do the blending and everything and pour it in, we want less liquid to be there. So I just seasoned it. I'm just going to take one hand, quickly toss all that salt in there. And then we're just going to take that and set it to the side for right now.
Now, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you salt this liver and we're going to let it sit, does that help actually pull out some of that iron flavor that is in the liver?
So there will be some that comes out within the juice itself, but you're not ever going to get to run away from the minerally and the iron because that's so much of a liver. So it will have a strong minerally, irony.
Nah.
Yeah.
Irony. That's a word.
Which is why we have things like a sweet. There's other things you can do, because this is also, and you'll see as we do, the liver pate will have copious amounts of butter in it, a little bit of cream. So it's heavy fat in addition to the fat that's in the liver. And so it's very rich to the palate. So this will help cut it. Also, you could serve this with a vinaigrette that's, a
little sweet and sour.
Yeah, you want to look a little... a bitter green like a frisee or something like that. Toss it in a lemon vinaigrette, and you get that acid helps cut the fat as well.
Exactly.
And so, but today we're going to go with the sweet option because I need a little sweetness in my life. So, all right. So let's get started. I'll punch the go button on this. I'm going to start that out. It says 250 degrees. I'm going to let it warm up, and you can do the crostinis whenever you're ready.
Okay.
So let's see here. Put that in. So, we've got the blackberries in. They're starting to cook as the pan comes to temperature. What I'm going to do first is, believe it or not, even on sweet things, we use a little salt to help combine the flavors. So I'm going to add just a little bit of salt to this, not a great amount. And then at the very end, I'm actually going to add a pinch or two of white pepper, just to add a little balance. So this is what's called a compote, and it looks a lot like a preserve, but what's different about it, this dish actually originated in the Middle Ages, and it's a cooked fruit. You could use any kind of fruit to do this, cooked in a sugar syrup. So what we're going to do is start heating this up so the blackberries will start releasing their juices. Then we're going to add the sugar to it, and that will make its own syrup in here. And we'll cook this down, and then we'll put it in a container to chill it. The reason we're doing this first is this needs to chill a little bit. So I'm going to cook this, and the salt not only helps bring all the flavors together, but it helps pull out the moisture of the blackberries. So we're going to get that going.
Remember, we also did a blackberry compote when we worked at the restaurant together.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, served it with that fried shrimp.
You know, I'm an old man, but I do remember that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So we did actually work at the restaurant together.
One of them.
One of them, yes.
I think that's enough crostinis.
I think that's
and
plenty,
then
Take a minute to cook this down. And just as it breaks down, in just a second, I'm going to do a couple things. One, I'm going to add a sachet. You can see this is just a big old lovable bundle of cheesecloth, but inside is where the magic happens. I have fresh thyme sprigs and I have whole cloves. Now, for something like a compote, you can use any combination of
cinnamon,
spices.
yeah,
Cinnamon,
yeah.
yes. What I call the warming spices are more adaptable. I mean, seem to be more appropriate for a lot of it, but you can actually put some savory spices in there as well. So like peppercorns and things like that. This has, as I said, fresh thyme and whole cloves. And we'll go ahead and get that in there. So as the juice is created, it'll start
bringing it out and into the flavor itself.
Absolutely. Thank you for finishing that, because you know sometimes I get what? Forgetful. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, so now we're starting to get a little juice coming. So I'm going to start with half of the sugar, and then we'll decide how much more we need. What you're going to start with is about 2 pounds of blackberries. This is just slightly under that, so I'm going to kind of adjust things as we go. Again, this is culinary, or savory, not baking. Baking, we have to be very precise.
See, that's why I don't like baking.
Right.
I can adjust by tasting and
So,
just fix it.
that's where I'm different, because I actually, coming from an engineering background, my first career, software engineering, I kind of dig that measuring and all that nonsense, but
That just takes too much time.
yeah, that's why there's so many different ways to go when you start cooking.
Exactly.
So, as you can see, probably from overhead, this is really starting to develop the syrup, because not only is the salt bringing it out, but sugar. If you've ever made a macerated strawberries for shortcake, sugar will pull the juices out as well, and it then creates its own sugar syrup.
It's kind of like making a simple syrup as well. You just got berries in it.
That's all. Yeah. The sugar's coming from the berries and not, well, some of the sugars we actually have granulated. So yeah, exactly. It's what it is. The simple syrup, berry flavored. So while this is really getting going, I'm going to add just a splash of lemon juice. Thank you, Chef Brian. This little bit of acidity, along with the sweetness, it'll help balance out the sweetness of this, but also one more thing to help cut through the richness of the liver. Guys, this is so super simple to make. It does have a couple steps to it, but there's no real major technique involved. If you've ever pan-fried liver, you've done it. If you ever got onions prepped, quit playing with your food, my mama said, so let me just stop playing with food. All right, now it's coming to a nice little boil. And we're just going to let that cook down for the next few minutes. So we're going to give it a taste first, or actually, if you would taste it.
Yeah.
And then we'll decide how much more sugar we need after that.
I would do like half of that.
All right then.
And then that's my spoon. I'll clean it in a minute. So we're not cross-contaminating. I'm just gonna go ahead and put these crostinis on our little sheet pan. I'm gonna pop them in a 350-degree oven, and we're gonna give them maybe 3, maybe 4 minutes. And pop them out, let them sit, and we'll be good. So, see you in a minute. All right, our compote is now done reducing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull it off the heat, we're gonna put it in a bowl, and we're gonna put it in chill in the refrigerator. So, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I turned it off. As you can see, it's really thickened nicely. Oh,
that's beautiful.
Do you want to taste for seasoning?
Yes, I will taste for seasoning.
I'm going to take out my sachet, set it aside, and then
one more. All right, this is hot.
So what I haven't done yet is I haven't put in the white pepper.
That's
good.
It's
Any
good.
more salt?
Just a little bit.
Okay. So I'm gonna put in a couple pinches of white pepper for a little extra zing. A little like real cream, a little dab will do you. And
yes,
how
it
much
will.
more salt?
That's good.
Okay. Get this stirred in.
It was right there.
And then we're going to transfer it to this stainless steel bowl with the really cute handles on it. That's really nice. And this will, by the way, this will help it chill faster.
Using metal.
Exactly. All right. So hot pan.
Heard. That's actually a, what is that company? Chef. Pantry. Pampered Chef.
Yeah, I know about those guys.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Now we're going to get started on our pate now that we have the Blackberry Compote in the refrigerator.
Yep, so what we're going to start out with, is about a stick and a half of butter, or maybe more. Yeah.
Could be 2.
Butter makes everything butter, so, as Chef John Pierre says. So I'm going to melt this butter without shaking the pan, which is very difficult.
Yeah, we like to move pans, but my island kind of moves and it kind of causes the overhead to shake a little bit.
So we're going to, this will melt, and then I'm putting in a large yellow onion that I just sliced. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't take the time to dice this because we're gonna puree. Thank you. We're gonna puree it in the food processor. So no sense in spending all that time dicing it. Just some slices will do. We're gonna cook it down. We're not looking for any color on the onions at all. What we're looking for is just for them to get slightly translucent. We'll turn it off. We'll put this in the food processor, and it will happily wait while we do the liver in the same pan.
Sweet.
So, this is not quite a one-pot wonder, but it's close.
Would you like any salt to bring out moisture
You know
in
what?
those
That's
onions?
a great point. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here for.
All right, so quit playing with your food. My mama used to tell me, so I'm going to quit playing with this. We're going to bring this up. It's going to actually simmer a little bit, and then as it becomes translucent, some of the water is going to dry off of that, and then we're going to transfer to that. So that's going to take
A couple minutes.
yeah, at least maybe 3, 4, 5.
I'll fast forward it.
The beautiful thing about this, you got if you 4 steps total. If you can count the crostini, the compote, Blackberry Compote. The next step is doing your onions, and then you fry your livers. And actually, maybe if you count blending it and pushing it through a sieve, that's maybe 5 or 6. But there's a few steps, but the whole thing is very simple. And so you just work your way through the steps and let it chill overnight. We'll talk about that. We're also, I'm excited about, I brought my duck fat. Can we talk
Yes.
about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to cut down the heat just a hair on this so it's not going too much.
I think of duck fat like a fine wine. This is truly liquid gold. And I render a lot of fat. I render chicken fat, which is also called schmaltz. But the beautiful thing, and I render duck fat out of the skin. So when I take a whole duck, there's the duck has a lot of excess skin they leave on it.
Yeah.
And so you trim it carefully because it will contract once it starts cooking. But there is plenty of extra. And I take that, I grind it through a meat grinder, and then I just cook it. I render that fat down. Here's the beautiful serendipity about rendering that chicken fat too. That skin becomes crackling.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I strain that off, salt the crackling, and that's your chef's privilege. So I tell you what, Brian, if you would, since I nearly burned you last time, if you'll dump that in.
Absolutely.
I turned it off for a minute, and we're good to go on that.
He didn't almost burn me. And it wouldn't have been the first time. You think I'm joking? And there we have it.
So now I'm going to take the liver that we had set aside. I'm going to unset aside it. Now, if you can see overhead probably how much juice has come out of that.
Exactly, yeah.
And so we're going to take our tongs, turn this back on, and we're going to leave it at where it's at. I'm going to take my tongs, I'm going to lift them out individually so that I'm not just dumping that juice in that we tried to get rid of. Now these aren't going to be the last seasoning they get, because once we actually blend this... Oh, one thing I didn't mention. You can see from this one, see that? That is connective tissue. And if you really wanted to take the time, you could actually peel that and take that out, but it is super time consuming. So I'm going to show you a method at the very end how to deal with that, where you don't have to spend a lot of time actually doing an operation on that stuff, because that stuff is very chewy.
That's kind of like taking the meat off of a chain when you're doing a whole beef tenderloin. It's
Exactly.
extremely time consuming. But you spent the money on it, you might as well.
Yep.
When it comes to beef tenderloin.
So I am going to try, if I can't fit them all in, it's no big deal, but I think I'm going to be able to find room in here. What I'm doing...
I'm going to bump the heat up just a little bit because
Okay.
we put a lot of meat in there, and it's going to bring that temperature down.
Yeah, you are correct. You are correct. So what I'm looking for is about 1 to 2 minutes on each side. I'm not looking for them to be well done. By the way, most people actually overcook liver. One of the reasons, in my opinion, why a lot of people don't like liver is because it's mealy. The texture is just disgusting. You should have a little bit of pink in your liver. As long as it's cooked to 150 degrees, you're good to go. So if we do 1 to 2 minutes on each side, we're going to achieve that.
Yeah, that should be enough time.
Yep.
Because these things are, you know, about half an inch thick. So
yeah, and that's a large one. Now, the one thing that you can buy at the store, if you wanted to make this dish, you can certainly use chicken liver. Because I'm doing a duck feature on a charcuterie board, I'm doing it with duck liver. But it's hard to find duck liver in a container at the store. I actually had to harvest them from several whole ducks I was working with. And I keep all that offal, O-F-F-A-L. Some people think offal is awful, but it's not. It's offal. I rehearsed that all night.
You did that. Excellent.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm here all week.
Maybe just a couple hours.
Well, maybe. Tip your server. All right, so I'm just going through the flipperooski process now. And see, I'm not, it's turned a little bit gray, but I'm not trying to get it cooked all the way through, as I mentioned. So
I'm getting a little color, a little Maillard reaction
yeah,
right
I saw
in
it
here.
right there in the center. So the one thing about these induction burners, they get really, their temperature is really directed at where the elements are. So you have to learn to move your food around a little bit. Okay. We are almost there.
Excellent.
So literally when this is finished, we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to start spinning things. Actually, one thing I forgot, when we turn the heat off, I'm going to put sage in here. I don't think I need all of this, but while we're waiting on this to finish cooking, I'm going to just peel some leaves off instead of throwing off. You could throw the stems in there, and the food processor will cut those up, but
it's a little tough.
Yeah, it's a little tough, and I
don't think you're going to want it.
Take that chance. So even though we're going to sieve it later, I'm going to put just a couple more leaves in there.
Do you want this stem?
No.
Okay. That would be perfect for stock, by the way, to keep those stems if you had stock coming up that you wanted to do.
And
oh, it's a little early.
You know, this was a full bottle when I bought it yesterday. I don't know what happened. All right, a little cognac. And I'm going to give this a little stir, and then Brian, will you
absolutely
put that in our food processor?
Do you want the juices in there or no?
Yes, all of it.
Okay.
Please and thank you. Unless it's a ginormous amount, and then
I'll let you look at it. I was just thinking because all that butter is in there too.
Yeah, so if it's not a lot of juice, I like to put in because that's a lot of flavor.
Absolutely.
Maybe put about a third of that in there,
okay.
And those sage leaves.
Yep.
Perfecto.
Sweet.
All right, so at this point we're through with all cooking, so we no longer need our stovetop here. We're going to use the salt later.
Hot pan.
And a little bit of the white pepper.
I'm just going to put it right here.
Adjust the seasoning at the end, so just start spinning it. Now, what I like to do is I start pulse it a few times just to kind of get it going.
Get it started.
Then I usually hit the go button. It's going to go for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. We want it as pureed as possible, and then we're going to sieve it.
as y'all know, I'm still trying to figure this one out. All right, bring you back in a minute.
So what I've got is a fine mesh strainer, sieve we call it. These are very handy to have. If you don't have one already, they serve a lot of purposes. So if I can try not to make a mess, I'm not going to pour all of it at once. We'll
Do half.
Do a little, about half, yep. So now all I'm doing is I'm just going to work this. And remember those little tendons and sinews that we had earlier? This is where we get rid of those. We're just pushing through and creating a very smooth pate without those things, because they will not go through. Now I'm not going to press to try to get them through. I'm just going to work this and they will remain behind. And you'll see in a couple of minutes that all that will be left are those tendons and pieces of sinew that don't give a real pleasant mouthfeel.
And also those sage leaves that we put in there too. It'll capture those.
It will.
But the flavor also goes in through the
Exactly.
sieve as well. So.
Yeah.
So we're not losing flavor by doing this.
Not at all. Not at all. So in the French method, what is now the basis of Western cuisine, things were sieved a lot, especially sauces and pâtés. And the difference it makes, it may seem like an extra unneeded step, but once you actually experience the difference, you'll see it. I did a 3 Michelin star mashed potato.
I watched that video.
Yeah, so we used a potato ricer, and then a drum sieve, which is basically one of these in flat, looks like a drum. Actually, that's why we call it that.
Actually, I'll put the video up in the link.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The French call that a tammy, T-A-M-I, or no, T-A-M-I-S. So you can see here now, this is starting to thicken up. This is just the bits and pieces. But if you look right here,
We still got plenty of coming out.
yep. So we're getting actually a whole lot of the really smooth pate. Now I think, do we want to trash this or put it in the disposal? How do we want to handle this?
Trash.
All right, so I'm going to dump this, and then I'm going to finish
The other half.
the other.
But saucier is, they would sieve all the time for all the sauces and things like you were talking about.
So I've always said in a working restaurant, and when Brian and I work together, the two most important positions in a commercial kitchen, in this order, is your dishwasher. And if you don't think they're important, wait till they walk out on you. And the next one is the saucier. Now, most kitchens in America are not large enough to have a true brigade system, what Escoffier called it, the brigade system. But so most chefs will individually, they know how to make their sauces. But a saucier in a large restaurant is as important, if not more, than the executive chef.
I have to agree with that.
Because now we got some ramekins here. Now we are going to taste it, but we're going to taste the ones that I made yesterday, and those have chilled down. So I'm just going to very carefully. I'm not looking to go all the way to the top because I want room for the fat. Okay.
Nice.
So one of the things I'm excited about coming up is I'm actually doing this pate for a Christmas charcuterie board, and I'm going to film building the charcuterie board and show you how that's done, because that's kind of the new way of entertaining these days. So you have a lot of variety. It's a great conversation piece.
Absolutely.
And you know, if I wasn't a bull in the china closet, like my mother said, I wouldn't have to clean up these messes, would I? Right. Come on, get covered up, will you? See if I can do a better job on this one. And as I said, these things are best chilled overnight. They're a little too runny right now, but they will firm up.
Now I have a question about your duck fat here.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's chilled, it's going to coagulate, come back to a solid. Now, are you going to pull the fat off, or is that part of the dish as well?
That's part of it as well.
Okay.
So you would just, we'll taste it in a minute, and I'll show you.
There we have it. This is the pate that Chef Lance made yesterday, so we'd have something to taste because that's got to sit overnight. And then we have our Blackberry Compote, and we have our crostinis.
So go ahead, help yourself. Most people do it. They grab a crostini, they dip down into the pate, spread it, and then put a little spoon of compote on top.
Okay. I've never had this, so.
It's best if you spread it. It's because it can be a little stiff if you don't.
That's what I was planning on doing.
I got you.
And then I'll just take a little blackberry. I want a berry on this one.
And because my wife has me on a diet, I'm going to avoid the carbs, and I'm just going to taste this. Nice. Very nice.
They both pair very well.
Yeah. And you're noticing how this cuts through the richness, because this is very rich, no doubt about it.
It is. And it coats your tongue. But since we had that blackberry, and it's got that sweetness, and we added that little bit of lemon juice in there, it's okay.
Bull in the china closet.
It's very tasty.
Are you going to bite your elf over or what?
Would you like to try?
Are you going to put it on camera?
Don't be a wuss.
No, I don't have to put it on camera.
Okay, I look like horrible crap right now.
But I will. Not bad.
I gave you a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Because I don't know if you're going to like it.
It's not.
It's not bad. But
I just licked my finger when it was just the stuff, so it wasn't. Yeah. Weird. I'm not a big fan of bread, but.
yeah,
You like it?
ties in.
Together.
Yeah.
There you go. So
All right.
they have their first experience with liver.
Yeah.
So I grew up eating fried chicken livers. My dad used to fry them up. Then when I went to college, my roommate said, "You need to go and get you some honey and put on." And so sure enough, I fried the chicken livers, poured drizzled honey over it. That's the only way I eat fried chicken livers to this day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the real deal?
The compote's good. Everything's good.
Everything's good together. Like,
Isn't that amazing?
I would have never thought I would be eating liver.
Yeah. So, on a charcuterie board, this is just one of the elements, right? And so you would have this paired nearby. We'll also have a lot of bread and crackers on a charcuterie board. You'll see that video upcoming. But it's a wonderful way to use the whole animal, the way they used to when they were growing these on their homestead. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
Oh, it was
I
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thanks for the
Appreciate it.
invitation. Yeah, I've been
Absolutely.
looking forward to this for a long time.
Me too. Well, thank you very much. If you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, and we'll see you next week. Take care.